Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Comics News Today. And we got a little special one here. We're going to be talking to a creator, as we ought to do. It's the first one in the new year, so that is going to be awesome. We do appreciate you all coming in and being part of what we're doing. Definitely check out those links down below and go see what we're doing, particularly over on Fanspeak. That is a Facebook community, and that community is growing and is doing really well. We're happy to have you guys over there and being part of that. Also, if you want to get in contact with me with being on any of these shows, I mean, this is Fanspeak. We want to hear what you have to say. Just go over and hit me up on Twitter, or you can hit up any of the guys you see here, and they'll get in touch with me, and we'll get it all worked out. Also, keep in mind that we really appreciate those subs and likes, of course. But the thing that helps us the most being live streamers is hitting that share button and letting your family and friends and extended community know what's going on so they come over here and join us together. Now, we're going to be jumping into it real quick here and talking to Rick, but of course, first thing I want to do is say hello to another guest we have, which comes on periodically. We have ourselves a Pixel Trader. How you doing, dude?
Doing very well, man. It's been a busy day, but I figured I'd come in and give some support to Rick here because he's been such a great supporter of the indie community. It was about time I showed him a little love here too.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. Rick's been
Oh,
doing
thank
his
you.
thing for a long time. He's been doing this YouTube much longer than I have. How long you been doing YouTube, Rick?
Uh, just under 2 years now.
Yeah, see?
I started April of 2018 or 17.
Well,
Maybe
that
it's
would
three
that
years.
would
I'm not
make it
sure.
3 years. Yeah, I think you've been doing it quite a while. Whereas we, of course, here started and we've been doing this for about, I don't know, 16, 18 months, I guess. But really, really happy to have Rick in here, and we're going to talk about his Canadian Shield today, of course. But first things first, how you doing today, Rick?
I'm doing great.
Now you're up in the icy north there, so how many feet of snow are on the ground?
Like 2 inches,
Wow, you're
if
not,
that.
you're not Canadian very well. What's up, Canada?
Hey, I'm just over. I'm not too far over the border. I'm like an hour away from the border, an hour and a half.
Oh, okay. So you're really close. Are you in the cool side over there on the East Coast, or are you stuck up there in Toronto area?
I'm in the Toronto area. I'm about an hour
Oh,
away from Toronto.
well, that's a shame. That's too bad. But it's all right. Well, you can stay though. You can stay. You're at least you're not French Canadian. You see, if you're a French Canadian, there would be an issue. But that's all right. Now, of course,
I agree.
yeah, you should agree. They are the noisiest people on the planet. But nevertheless, of course, we are talking about Rick's Canadian Shield, which he's been talking about as long as I have been speaking to him. And of course, the Canadian Shield is trying to, I think, in a way, be mix between Superman and Captain America. Maybe is that how we'd look at it? A mashup?
I wouldn't say Captain America because Captain America is a lot more political and all that. I know it's easy to think of it with Canadian Shield, but
Yeah.
it sounds almost political. And I might have at one point thought of going that way, but I decided not to. But there's definitely Superman in there, and probably a mashup of other characters that I don't know offhand.
Well, I mean, just the flying thing and Superman comes into mind, of
Yeah.
course, in the cape. Uh, well, that's cool. Let's go ahead and jump over. As you guys know, when we have a guest on, we talk about their stuff first, and then we'll get to some news later. Okay. So let me go ahead and share with you here. And well, actually, before I do that, real quick, let me just come over and acknowledge the chat. Let's see. We got Roger Helen here. We don't have a lot of comments going on, but happy to have all you guys in here. We do appreciate you. All right, so let's come over here and share. Oh, don't do that. And do keep in mind, guys, that coming up in a little less than 2 hours, we are going to be doing Drone Recorder Ultimate Edition, where we will be doing Dungeons and Dragons today. We got something a little special for you, so definitely come back for that. Pixel here, of course, is the boss over there, Drone Recorded. And why did you decide to do Dungeons and Dragons anyway? Was it because I insisted, or because everybody else did?
It's because you had the idea to do it. And we want to mix things up anyway, and I don't mind the input. I mean, we've had a couple hit or miss episodes in the past, and so the group, everybody seemed really excited when you mentioned it, and I'm like, okay, let's roll with it. Let's just do it. And, uh, the stuff that we've planned out for tonight, I think, is going to be really fun and a lot different than our normal shows, and so hopefully people like it.
Yeah, I hope so too, dude. And of course, to be fair, I stole the idea from Mike as usual. So it
Yeah.
is what it is. But anyway, let me go over here and bring up our first bit today. We're talking about Canadian Shield, of course. Now, this says the Canadian Shield issue number 1. This is not only the funding of a one character, but a universe, the Crossverse, which is Cross Comics. Okay, let me see here. Now, first thing, Rick. Obviously, you're doing the art. We know you do that. Who's done your writing? Are you doing the writing as well?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but let's go a little bit more into depth here. And let me read your little intro here, and before we get into it, hey all, I'm thrilled to bring you the first character in my roster of characters that will be part of Cross Comics. He is built like a brick house and given powers beyond those of mortal men. He is where the past, present, and future collide. He is the Canadian Shield. And a short summary here. My name is Rick, and my comic company of Cross Comics has been 30 years in the making. The launching of this project will hopefully not only fund this comic for printing, but also pay for the other books to be drawn, as several more issues of the Canadian Shield have been written, as well as other characters. The Canadian Shield #1 is a 24-page color story of his origin. It deals with him getting his powers and learning to use them, and setting up for issue 2 and beyond him to battle the threats that come at him and he is brought to. So basically, you had mentioned this yesterday. The first book is like really all origin, and it's not an action book at all, you had said.
Yeah, yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, so go ahead and lay out, do that elevator pitch again. Let us know who the Canadian Shield is. Yeah.
The Canadian Shield is a Native American from the early 1800s. He is brought forward in time to our present day, and he is given a suit that is from the future that will get enhanced speed, strength, making him into a virtual Superman, as you so accurately described a little earlier, him
Yeah.
being
Well, now you had
there.
mentioned that he's brought from the future by a god, so there's a religious overtone to it. And the suit
Yeah.
he gets from the future, though, how is that connecting? How does the suit play in, or is that a spoiler?
Oh no, it's not really. Well, the suit, like I said, gives him the powers. Without the suit, he's just an ordinary man.
Yeah, but how did he
You
get it? I
know,
mean, who's giving him
Hey,
the suit?
well, God takes the suit from the future because God is outside of time, so God has no restrictions.
It's true.
You know, so he takes the suit from the future and brings it to our present time for him to put on.
I see. Now, is this some Native American god, or is this just the ubiquitous creator of all?
The God of the Bible,
I
the
see.
Christian God.
So the Abrahamic God. All right, and yes, he's in a church. He's very devout. And of course, there were plenty of missionaries over with the natives in the Americas, so that's certainly a point. We got some people in a plane here, and he's watching them fly by. Who's doing your coloring?
Pope Raven.
Pope Raven, mysterious lady man from Australia. Yes, I see. Very good. And now this right here, I'm assuming is some future place with the suit. I'm
Yeah,
looking at.
it's where they're developing the suit. The suit's just been pretty much finished there,
Mhm.
and there'll be a panel on the next or a few pages, and they're all that exact same scene is there, but nobody's holding anything because it's all disappeared
Oh, I
from their
see.
hands.
I get it. I get it. All right. And he can stand in lava. He can be in the ice. He can fly. He is the Canadian Shield. And you get a little bit of 3D rendering here. Who did this for you?
George Peter Gaddis, he's a person that did Joe King
Yeah, no, yeah, of course,
book.
George. He's one of regulars here, Rick. Yeah, no, that's cool. George is definitely good at that. Did he make any miniatures for you? He's pretty good at that, actually.
Yeah, well, this is an actually for an exclusive perk to the campaign, the
Uh-huh.
$300 one. You can get this for the $300 plus. You also get both books, my cover signed and John's cover signed.
All right, cool, cool. And
And
we will go through the perks shortly, of course.
yeah,
What I want to know is because I know you've been doing this a long time, and this character is one of your earlier characters. I understand. So tell us, what was
yeah.
the process? How did you get from however many decades ago you started working on this to this point? How did that process take place?
Well, at first I came up with the name the Canadian Shield because of the landmass here.
Hmm.
And when I originally created him, he was just going to be like a biker dude, big, burly, fat, But something got me to say, no, I want him to be more Superman type.
Hmm.
And then I started developing a history. I wanted somebody that a little bit more used to our modern day value system. I wanted somebody of an older value system. So I thought, somebody from the past. So
Hmm. Hmm.
then it's like, how do I get them into the present? So obviously God. And I wanted a suit that could do, make them into a Superman. So I figured we'd have nothing in modern day at the time because I created him like early '90s. So I thought, way into the future, you know.
I see. No, no, cool, cool. Why did you decide to go with a an American Indian?
Um, I guess at the time I wanted to do the whole diverse thing. It's a new character, so
Hmm.
it's. I'm not sure exactly what got me to decide on a North American Indian.
Sure.
It's been like 30 years ago. So some of these questions are, why did I do what I did?
Well, I don't know.
You
These are
know,
kind of standard questions, though.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah. I'm not saying I don't doubt that they're standard questions. I just didn't write down. I just got so focused on doing
Uh-huh.
everything that over the years I've forgotten the whys of why I did what I did.
I see. So basically, this character here is your premier character. He's your yeah, because I know you have a lot of characters that you've
Yeah,
created and drawn, but this is your main guy, right?
yeah,
I see.
for sure.
And now you talked in here when I was doing the reading of your introduction and stuff. It says that you're planning on doing other books beyond Canadian Shield. What other characters of yours are you thinking about bringing into the Indiegogo here?
Um, Eventually, I want to do a character named Snowdrift. If you went down a bit, the bookmark that is there for one of the stretch goals,
Yeah,
that's her character. Another one is going to be called the Flame, and then there's another one called Insecto. Right there, that's Snowdrift.
hmm,
If I
cool.
get to the 3,000 mark, everybody gets that bookmark.
Mhm. Now, of course,
Um,
it does not go unnoticed that Cross Comics, being your comics and your title of your YouTube show, having a cross in there with a holy halo around it, and there's a lot of religious themes here with Snowdrift as well as Canadian Shield. It's a religion and God are an important thing to you, obviously. Why don't you
yeah.
talk to us a little bit about that?
Um, where that came in, well, as a lot will probably know, or some don't. I am a Christian. Um, I got started into reading through Christian Archie books, and I watched superhero stuff as a kid, and I just wanted to create some Christian comic books. And as you know, there's Christian music out there.
Sure, of course.
So I figure why not do something similar, but with comic books, since I fell in with Superman and all that. I wanted to bring my passion of that into, you know, that of comics into the Christian world as well.
Sure. No, no. Why not? And obviously, you wear it out on your sleeve because your channel and stuff like that, and that's nice. And of course, we do have quite a few Christians in our community, and that's a great thing. These days particularly. It's the Western world is becoming less and less welcoming to Christians, which I think is absolutely appalling. But it is what it is, right? So
Yeah.
it's nice that we have various places that everyone is welcome, and we can kind of get away from that silliness. Yeah, good on you,
Yeah.
dude. Now this cover I'm looking at right here was done by John Dillard, I do believe. Yes.
Yeah, it was. But he didn't mean it as a cover at first, I don't think. I forget whether he did or didn't. But it is. I've also got it as a print available too. So to
Oh,
buy.
that's good. That's good. Yeah. And now the John Dillard here, he's been very helpful to you with because not only has he done a cover for you, he's also been doing your inks, right?
Yeah, he's been going over my inks, making them better, and filling in the blacks and all that. So
I
beefing
see.
up what I've done.
I see. And now this particular story here, we know it's more of an origin story, but can you give us a kind of a synopsis, a layout, what's happening in this? This is a floppy. This is a standard floppy he's got going on, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell us what in general is happening in this story.
Well, as I said, it's gonna show the fact that he's in the past, or we're gonna tell that he's in the past.
Hmm.
He gets transported to the present day, and that the suit's in the future, and it gets transported to present day, and that an angel appears, tells him to put it on, and told to travel south. And he soon learns that this suit gives him miraculous powers and abilities. So he's learning to deal with that a little bit,
Hmm.
and learning also to deal with the fact that you know he's in a completely another time. Because
Sure.
first he's in a church, and then he's out in the middle of nowhere,
You've doubled
and
up
he's
on the
told.
fish out of water. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I figured you didn't want to put him in the middle of a downtown metropolitan city because it would just be super culture shock. So put him out in the middle of nature, which he knows, and then he can learn about society as he goes south.
Yeah, no, I get it. And of course, there's a little bit of the greatest American hero in that story, which is cool. Now, one of the things the
Yeah.
greatest American hero did really well was it presented a hero, but it also had some really solid comedic elements to it, right? And it was fun in that way. Does Canadian Shield have any comedy in it?
There will be in like the things afterwards. The first issue there's not a lot of comedy because, as I said, it's more of the origin story. He's out in the middle of the woods by himself, so for the most part.
I see. All right. Yeah, because I think this leans itself could you could have some nice comedic elements. Not necessarily Canadian Shield himself, but just kind of things around him.
Yeah.
Might be interesting. That's cool, dude. Now
Like there's a scene from the second book where he's being interviewed by a detective, and the detective says, "What's up, Flag Boy?" or something to like that, and he's like, "I'm not. My name's not Flag Boy or whatever. I forget exactly wording, So I'm trying to." And the detective's being very impatient with him and all that.
sure, I see. And who's eventually going to be the villain of Canadian Shield? Who's his nemesis?
The there's several villains. Probably one that I'm gonna make an arch villain eventually is a guy named Absorb.
Hmm.
He's not the first villain he faces off against, but their powers will rival each other. I would say.
I see. All right, cool, cool.
It,
Now I know you were showing me beforehand that you had some animations and stuff you wanted to show off. So I am whiteboxing you right now. So why don't you go ahead and share that stuff?
okay.
All right, yeah, that's pretty cool looking. Now, who did you put this together yourself?
I did.
Oh, sweet. There you go. All right, a little
And
bit of referencing. I like the beginning quite a bit, actually.
yeah, there's one other that I did. Where did I put it? One. Don't think it's sound.
I mean, Pixel, the first stuff he had looked really good. I think basing a comic on that might be actually interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Here's the other one as long as it goes properly.
What are you doing your animation in?
Pardon?
What are you doing your animation in?
Well, some of it I've grabbed like little clips from the internet and all that,
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
gifs and all that, pieced together and blacked out some of that.
I see. So it's maybe Filmora.
Uh, the main one that, but I've been putting it together in what's the name of it? Move AVI Move AVI.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah.
oh, look at all your characters there. That's cool. Yeah, all right.
Those should be all the characters that appear in the first like year and a half that I have somewhat planned out.
That's a lot of characters.
Yeah. Well, it's introducing villains, new villains, some new heroes, and some of it's supporting cast for the comic books, too. Because you need your Jimmy Olsens and your
Of course. Yeah.
Lois Lanes and stuff like that,
Hmm. I
to
agree.
make the story interesting eventually.
Oh no, absolutely, dude. All right, let me jump back over here and let's take a look at your perks, and then we'll get into some news. All right. So let's come back over, do this, and do that. All right. So let's take a look at your perks here, and let's go back up. All right, here we go. So we have a featured, which is something we always like to see, and we have double dealing. It says for 4,000 for about $40. So what's going on with this perk?
That is you for the $40 you get mine and John's cover, uh, and that includes shipping worldwide. So and they're both signed by me, of course.
So you're not having shipping being a separate thing. You're covering it out of the actual pledge.
Yes.
Oof. That's very dangerous, Rick.
I think I've covered enough. Got the shipping in there. The reason I don't decided just to include it is because they're gonna take it out of your goal anyway. So I said 2,000 anyways. They're gonna put that shipping towards it anyway.
Well,
So
usually,
if I charge an extra,
yeah, but the shipping usually would be after the fact. I mean, they pay for whatever the perk is, and they spend extra for shipping. But you're including shipping with every perk here?
yes.
All right. Let's take a look here. All right, we'll come down. There's a digital one here for $5. All right, that's fair, and that's pretty straight up. You get a digital version, which is good. You have that, by the way. Then we have for Love of Canada. Damn it, go ahead.
This is basically just an unsigned copy, and you get your choice between either my cover or John's cover.
I see. I see. And this up here is both. I get it. All right. All right. And there is a signed cover up here, I'm assuming.
Yeah, the
Okay.
next one down is $25 US and signed by me. And again, you get your choice between mine or John's cover.
Oh, there you go. All right. Signed issues. A bit sketchy. Uh-oh.
Well, that's just basically you get both covers signed, and you get a 12 by 18 sketch of the Cross Comics character of your choice.
Okay.
To
Okay.
find out what they are, they can just go to my website. I've got a lot of them on there. So
All right. All right. Then we have a passion for art.
yeah, and again, that's both books signed and one of the page of art from the comic book for my drawing. It might not look exactly like the comic, but because John going over it and all that, but it is from the book
All
what I
right.
drew.
I see. All right. We have the Canadian exclusive perk for $300. Whew, what is this, dude?
This is again both books signed by me, and you get the figurine. It is approximately 8 inches tall,
Oh,
I think 5 inches wide, and 4 inches deep. And that's the one,
Uh,
the picture of the pictures we saw for that George did.
yeah, no,
Uh,
that's a
uh,
maquette actually. That's not a miniature at all. That's what we call a maquette. Yeah,
and the reason it's exclusive after this campaign, nobody's going to be able to get it.
sure. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, cool. And of course, George is actually pretty good at that. So you're in good hands with him. Coming down here, we have the Warrior, and this is a $1,500 pledge. That is steep, dude. What is this for?
With it, of course, you get both books signed. You get a page of art. You get the figurine or whatever you want to call it.
I see. So
And
everything.
uh,
Okay.
yeah, and I deliver it directly to your door, to you, hand it off to you in person.
Okay, Rick. Now,
Um,
what if someone in the depths of Siberia
uh,
gets this perk?
this is limited to Canada and the U.S.
I see. All right, so 10 people are going to get
Unfortunately,
a traveling Rick. A lot of Cracker Barrel I see in your future. All right. Cool. All right. Well, we've seen the perks. We've seen the thing. He's got a bunch of stretch goals laid out here as well. And interesting. Now, we all know Rick. He's been around for a while here, of course, since the beginning, but like I said, before us even. And, definitely go over and check it out and see if you can support Rick's project here. Do keep in mind that one of the best things you can do is actually to share this out, right? And, let other people, more eyes on it is really the thing that can help the most. So
yeah,
good on you, Rick.
yeah.
Now,
I even got a little bit of a clip it from Mike today on cross examinations.
well, that's nice. That's nice. That's good. And just go over here and let's support this and let's get the word out, guys. I think it would be really nice. Now, what we're going to do now, Rick, is we're going to switch over and go do a little bit of news. I'm going to truncate the show a little bit today, which is why I'm kind of moving a little quicker here, because I do need to do a little bit of setup for today's Drone and Quarter that I usually don't have to. But nevertheless, let's go over and take a look at our first bit of news. And Pixel and Rick, feel free to chime in, right? First thing we got here is Flash director Andy, whatever his name is, reveals the movie will concern Flashpoint, and he's attached to a Howling series for Netflix. Now, the first thing, of course, is Flashpoint itself, using our boy Ezra Miller. He is the mascot of this channel. I don't know. What do you think, Pixel, of bringing Flashpoint to a movie with Ezra Miller?
You know, I gotta be honest. I barely ever read any DC books, so I'm not even familiar with Flashpoint.
Oh, really? Oh, that's a pretty big one.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Go ahead, Rick.
I've read the whole Flash. I've read the whole Flashpoint. It was all right, but I don't think it'd be good for the movie. Because it just messes everything up. Stick with the villain, because the Flashpoint concerned the whole DC universe, and it was an alternate timeline basically.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and then the Flash has to set it right.
It
How do you deal with that in like one movie?
Exactly. I think that would be better for like a series. And of course, the Flashpoint thing. One of the big problems of doing Flashpoint, you haven't really introduced any of the bulk of the story of Flashpoint. There's so much stuff you would have to introduce so that you would understand what's going on. It's a very strange take. I'm sure they'll try, but it kind of comes to my mind. Last night, my wife and I we watched the new Dracula on Netflix. And I think it's it's a mini series, 3-part series. It's like each is an hour and a half, so it's more like a mini series, not an actual TV show. But it's really a sign of the times, and I say that this way: the first episode was, I don't know, stupendous. I don't think I can use a word big enough to explain how amazing it was. It was truly, truly great. Now I had a few nonsense things in there, which of course they made Van Helsing female again, which is something they do. And I think a lot of times when we see this stuff where they have gay characters or they have these various gender changes or race changes and stuff like that, I don't think they understand that it's kind of mundane. No one really cares that there are female characters or homosexual characters or any of these things. No one cares. It's normal. It's part of our society. It's not shocking anymore. I mean, did it a decade or 2 decades ago, sure, a little bit, but not even. But they're still trying to shock you with these things, which, of course, like I said, they've become mundane. Here's the thing with this series: the first was absolutely fantastic, and I didn't care that they turned Van Helsing into a nun. It didn't mean anything. Spoilers, by the way. The second one was just boring, which is weird because the first one was so spectacular. I was like, damn, this thing's going to kick off, man. And then the second one was boring. And the third one, what's the word I should use? Insipid. That's the word I would use.
Ooh,
Really
wow.
bad. I've never seen anything in my life go downhill so quickly. I cannot I just and that's not I'm not being hyperbolic either. I just cannot believe how bad that thing went down. And my point being is they can't tell a story without their politic these days. And how are you going to do Flashpoint, which, like Rick said, that is a handful. You need like a couple of seasons to really do that properly. But what do you think, Pixel? You know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, this kind of modern thinking and the way they can't get away from themselves and just tell a story.
Yeah, yeah. That was something came up. Comic Perch had made a post recently about a series or something being they're making a big deal about a character being LGBT,
Yeah,
and I've told you in the past my son is LGBT,
yeah,
and so like when we talk about these different shows and stuff, he laughs about it. He's like, I can't believe they did that to that character. I can't. We just talk about it. It's like if you just put the character in the story
hmm,
and didn't jump around waving a flag about it, but actually treated the character with respect and integrated that character into the universe, people wouldn't care. People would care. They would accept it. They go, okay, that's that character's lifestyle. Most people don't give a crap about
no,
the portion of it. They give a crap about the fact that they're being beat over the head with politics the entire time. So
that's right. Yeah, I mean,
uh,
and that point I said I wasn't being mean. I'm just serious. Homosexuality is mundane. I mean, they marry
yeah,
now. I mean, it's just they've become very mundane thing. It's not shocking. It doesn't put anybody out. No one really cares. Is the
yeah,
character interesting or not? And to be fair, they did have a gay character in there, or hinting a little bit of a homosexuality with Dracula, but it was well done, so it didn't matter. I
yeah.
mean, they just don't get it, you know.
Yeah. Now, as far as the way to tell the story, I like the change to storytelling. I like the shift to Netflix with a lot of these properties and HBO and things like that, where
Hmm.
they're able to tell a story over the course of 6 to 8 episodes without having to sacrifice a bunch of crap and only be able to do it in like 2.5 hours.
Right,
I really like that change, but
right,
they just got to keep their politics out of this stuff and keep it, focus on the story and tell the stuff we want them to tell us,
exactly.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, give us a good story here. You and I
Yeah,
have differing opinions over the Watchmen stuff. I actually enjoyed the series overall from HBO.
Oh no, you're talking
Um,
about Booster. I don't have an opinion. I haven't watched it.
oh, you don't have an opinion on it? Okay,
No, that's
okay,
Booster.
yeah. Booster hates it, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
I, there were elements of it I really liked. I could see there were certain portions of it that were pretty just dumb. I will agree there were portions of it that are dumb,
Mhm.
but the if you can get past some of that, there were some really cool things they did with that series.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are good points. There always are. It's not always all bad. It's like Captain Marvel. There's plenty of good parts in that movie, man. It's not all bad at all.
There,
It's pretty
there
solid.
were, yeah,
I'd give it a good solid 5 if it wasn't for Brie Larson's nonsense. But
yeah.
Yeah, but and of course we're not really talking about Flashpoint here very much. But my point being, I have no clue how they even think they're going to do this. So this is very weird. But the other part of this, I am much more interested in The Howling. Now, The Howling is one of those series. For those of you who don't know, the first Howling, the very first movie, was absolutely spectacular. It was a great horror werewolf movie. It was really good. Now, not a lot of people will compare it to American Werewolf in London, and of course, there's good reason for that because the same special effects guy did both. He was in both. Matter of fact, he left this project to go do American Werewolf in London, which was quite controversial. His action to do that, but nevertheless, The Howling is brilliant. The first one. Everything after that is horrifically bad. I mean, horrifically bad. It's just an incredible drop off. Now we see this happen a lot with sequels and stuff, but they've made 6, 7, 8 Howlings. I mean, they're just horrible. But the first one's really cool. So if they can actually grip and get a hold of the feel of the original Howling, it could be really cool. The problem is, once again, the theme of this article that I'm going over here is this is the book itself is playing off of it's really the psychological damage a woman received from being raped. That's really what the story's about. And then werewolves are thrown in for supernatural flair, I guess. But that's the whole real crux of the story is about this lady. She's a news reporter. I don't know if she was in the book. I think she was, but she's raped, and while she's trying to do a news story, and it's about how she's damaged and the psychological fallout from that event. And then, of course, it turns out that her rapist was an actual werewolf, and then things get even uglier, and it has a nice twist at the end. But I cannot see the modern media telling that story properly. Can you?
No,
No, not a chance.
Right? I mean, it's a very serious and in-depth thing that needs to be handled with care, but it needs to be handled properly. And in this case, it needs to be handled horrifically. And I just don't think that they're even capable. I mean, I just saw an article from the Quartering today, where some UK PC company had their ad banned by the government because it didn't have any women in it. That's the reality we're in, right? It's insane, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see if I can't move on to another story here. Let me see here. This right here is just there's an essential Judge Dredd coming, which would be cool. And it's just talking about what Judge Dredd is, and I think for me it was just. Do you like Judge Dredd, Rick?
I've only seen the movies. I haven't really read any comics, but I've liked the movies.
Okay. What about you, Pixel?
Yeah, Judge Dredd's great.
Yeah, I love
It's such
Judge
a
Dredd.
cool, gritty character, and there's a lot of lore there that never got touched by the movies.
Oh my God, yeah, dude, there's so much. Although I much prefer the Carl Urban movie. That was really awesome. That was Judge Dredd. The Stallone one was a bit cheesy. Well, that's all right. It was the '80s. But or was it? I think it was the '80s. Maybe
It
it
was
was early
90s.
early
It was
'90s.
90s. Rob
Uh,
Schneider.
Rob Schneider. Yeah, 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 yeah. My wife actually met him once. Oddly enough.
Really?
Yeah, she was working at a DFS place, and he came in Hawaii, and he came in to her counter, I guess. But nevertheless, this is basically like a trade. It's got a whole bunch of Judge Dredd stuff in it. Essential. It's an omnibus of sorts. But we have been talking about how the 2000 AD stuff is coming into America, and they're doing it in trades, paperback way. And I think it's good because there's plenty of Americans who've never read 2000 AD. And I think it's a nice thing to bring over. So I'm looking forward to it. And this is just part of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think a lot of people have forgotten or weren't exposed to heavy metal either. And I
Yeah,
think that's a shame. There's
yeah,
so much good stuff in there. I know it's a lot more adult type content. Well, 2080 is pretty adult too, but
it is. Yeah.
yeah, I would love to see a resurgence of heavy metal.
Heavy metal is one of those things that I actually had a subscription to. It wasn't just
Oh,
picking it
wow.
up off the rack. I actually had it in my pull box, and I love heavy metal. And I've actually been real fortunate here, as you guys know. I've had many opportunity to talk to people in the industry, and I've actually had the opportunity to speak to a few people who actually worked on heavy metal, not only here on Fanspeak, but as well as on IndieCom TV. So that's pretty cool for me. because I love heavy metal, man.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. All right, let's move on here. Let's. I can't. I need to stop off here in a few minutes, but let me see. I got a Picard thing, which this is kind of going south already, so let's not worry about that. We could maybe we'll talk about that. Let me see here. I got this one. Well, just real quick. Burt Ward is getting a Walk of Fame star finally. That should have been done decades ago. Um,
I agree.
yeah, I don't know why that took so long. And here's the man in current day. The boy wonder. He doesn't look so boyish anymore. Nope.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't
He
let
he
him show
did
up in
have
his
a
tights.
cameo.
Mhm.
He had a cameo most recently in the Crisis on Infinite Earth on
Yeah.
5 seconds of that.
Well, he's actually in a bunch of B movies. He's actually done quite a bit of work. Most people just don't know it because unless you're a real B movie aficionado, you don't know Burt Ward's place in that. But he is in a lot of that kind of stuff. But I mean, good on him. They should have given this to him a long time ago. I mean that Batman TV show that came out was culturally important, oddly enough. You know, and
Yeah,
I love how they added. One of the things that was cool about that show is they took something out of a show that was called Laugh In. Either one of you guys ever seen Laugh In?
I've heard of
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I might have seen I might have seen portions of an episode on
Okay.
YouTube or something like that.
All right. Laugh-In was a popular comedy show. I would say it predates Saturday Night Live or In Living Color, that kind of stuff. And it was fun. But they had this little bit they did in there, and they pulled that over into Batman. And if you guys know, of course, one of the memeable things from the Batman, which there are many, is them walking up the side of a building, right? Which they're not really doing, and then you have some celebrity pop out of a window and have a little chat with them. That comes from laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cute. But good on you, dude. So let's end with this one right here. So FX is why The Last Man Show got a big reboot after showrunners exit. Now this was announced to be coming into either a movie or a TV show. What, I don't know, 10 years ago. I mean, a long time ago. And it keeps coming up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And it looks like we thought they were going to moving on it a couple years ago, but then it went down again, and then it looks like they're trying to bring it back up. But this once again comes into account? Do you guys think they can do Why the Last Man correctly?
I have no idea what it is
Oh, you've
exactly,
never read that?
but
That's a pretty big book, dude. Why the Last Man is very simple. I'm not going to give spoilers away on it, but in the general concept is this: every man on Earth is dead from a disease except for him. That's
so it's
it.
almost like I Am Legend.
Well, no, the women are all around. I mean, I should have used the word male. I do apologize. All the males are dead
Oh,
except for this one male. The women are fine,
oh,
and he has to traverse the world in that type of situation. And of course, there's actual story and how it became that way. And I'm not going to get into that, but you can imagine that would be a horrific situation for someone to be in. So
oh yeah.
it's a really good book. Do you know Why the Last Man, Pixel?
I'm a little familiar with it. I think I picked up a couple issues over time or read through them or something, but I don't think I ever followed the series much. I actually don't remember if I own any of them, but
Uh, yeah, I read the whole thing.
you know,
Yeah,
oh really?
yeah,
So it kind of goes back to the political landscape thing. 'Cause I don't know how it ended or if it actually had an ending. I'm not sure.
it did.
But
Yep.
if he's kind of a savior type character, I think
Mm,
current current politics might play a weird issue there. I
well,
don't know.
I'm not going to give any spoilers on it because it is a good little book, series,
Sure.
and it's something I would suggest you checking out. But one thing it would do in a modern day is it would put a lot of bad light on women. Because him trying to survive through and his little monkey here, who is I'm not going to get into the DNA of it, but they are both male. just so you know, the
Okay.
monkey as well. As he's trying to traverse the landscape, he's just got these women coming at him left and right because, of course, they want to try to reproduce. And I mean, you have all these. It's just an absolutely post-apocalyptic situation, and the women are absolutely horrible. They're horrible, right?
Yeah, see that'd be hard to sell.
Well, see, if you reversed it, it would be no different. If all the women died and there
Yeah,
was one woman, she would immediately try to be captured by every man, right? I mean, it's not doesn't matter how you switch the situation, it's still the same. But the of course
yeah, yeah,
Y, the Y chromosome, the last man, it's playing on that.
yeah. I think it would be good to try. If they're actually going to do it, it would be nice to see people give it a shot. Not enough people are taking risks right now with entertainment. I
True,
mean,
true.
Disney
Hey,
is doing a live action Peter Pan for God's sake. I mean, come on. Like,
it would be a lot. It would be, what could they say? Yeah, it may be a lead male role, but every other person in it would be female.
Yeah. That's not the problem. I think the problem for me would be that
yeah,
it's mainly it has a story, but it's also kind of a dialogue on humanity itself, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
how we are, and our deviancies and our degeneracies, and that's what it's really playing into it. But let me go see if the chat has anything to say about that. But Kronos says a lot to say, as usual. Let me see. Geez, Kronos, write a book already. Uh,
a boy and his monkey.
right, a boy and his monkey. Yeah, Muttman's in here. Hey, Muttman. Roger, of course, Pixel. We got Kronos as well. We got James Beveridge. When in nature, the Rockies, the prairies, North Ontario forest. Yes, all those Canadian places. Let me see here. Jennifer says the D in Shield has gray in it. Yeah, I noticed that as well. You need to check that on John's cover. The D is not colored properly. Uh, um,
Yeah, I think I've changed. Not sure whether I've changed it or not, but it will be changed.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I have. Looking at my one on my screen here,
Okay.
where you see
There's
my
this
face.
Joshua says there's a funny part when he lets a moose run into him. All right. All right. Cool. Cool. A lot of people just commenting on Rick's stuff. Nice, nice, nice. Let me get back down to the bottom here. And oh, goodness gracious, Kronos. Um, all right, let me see. Yeah, no, everyone's just kind of making just standard comments. All right, problem is with 2000 AD and heavy metal have been infected by the woke crowd. They have. Everything has, dude. Every single thing has. Yeah, Rick Baker. That's right, El Rodimus. Yeah. Well, now, here's the thing, El Rodimus. Rick Baker actually started on The Howling. He was on The Howling, and then he got the deal to go do American Werewolf, and he left the project. He literally left them high and dry, and that is when Rob Bottin came in, right? And Rob built on what Rick had already done, and I think he did a good job. But then again, of course, Rick Baker, fully in charge of American Werewolf in London, it was a better werewolf. And that's the kind of the story I was trying to lay out with that. RPG Judge Dredd books are also fun. Yeah, they are, Kronos. I agree. Judge Dredd, that universe, playing a tabletop is a lot of fun. And of course, keep in mind that in about an hour and 10 minutes, we are going to be doing Dungeons and Dragons on Ultimate Edition of Drawn and Quartered. So definitely come back and check that out. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come back over to the guys, and I'm going to give Rick an opportunity to give his last little pitch. So go ahead, dude.
Okay, thank you. Everybody, go get the Canadian Shield. I'm sure you will thoroughly enjoy it, and it will hopefully prosper the other books to come forth, which you will enjoy just as much and even more.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Rick and Pixel. Not only would I like you to give us some last words, but you're going to namaste us, sir. That is your job, your responsibility, your debt to reality.
Oh man, that figures. I come in on one day where you don't have anybody else in here. Now I
Uh
gotta
huh.
be all smart and stuff.
That's right.
Gotta find my words. No, so I've over the last couple of days on Twitter, I've been making some posts about kind of mending fences and trying to put the focus back on the comics and back on the whole idea of why people kind of started pushing back on the mainstream, and that was we weren't being respected, we weren't being listened to, the characters weren't being treated right, and we wanted something better. And so I was telling people, hey, let's put the focus back on that. Let's create, let's do something good. So I'm doing my part to do it, and I think people out there need to do their part, and let's see if we can't make 2020 a better year all around. And that's kind of where I'm going with it. But you
Oh,
can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter at Pixel Trader. And I run a little site called IndieCron that's trying to make things better for creators all around the world.
absolutely, guys. And namaste. All right, guys. I'll
And
see.
namaste too.
Yeah, I'll see you in about an hour or so. So thank you all very much, and later.
Later.